In Havana, like every commodity, hope is in short supply. Rubbish bins are now a place to harvest as much as discard. They offer sustenance for the hungry. The desperate must decide what will do them more harm than good. On every street corner, the same fetid mess, the same hunt for something worth salvaging. Nightlife is recycling to survive. He gets 30 pesos for a kilo, that's a few pence. He'd need to collect several big bags like this just to afford a piece of fruit. Berta Baez has been picking them up all morning, but bristles at the prices here. An entire day's work just for a few bananas. She says the government gives her very little money, so she has no choice but to sell cans to be able to eat. This is a city where civic pride is a luxury they can no longer afford. It's not just the crumbling grandeur, that slow rot set in decades ago as the American blockade grew and Cuba's communist allies dwindled. But now, as a result of an American oil embargo, power shortages are critical. Butter is sold quickly in this heat. With no refrigeration, shoppers must get it before it goes rancid. Water doesn't flow anymore in Havana. Instead, it's dragged. With no power, electric pumps are idle. So this is how some homes are resupplied. Jose Luis tells me it's the same in all the houses. For 6 months, there's been no water service here. And when I ask who he blames, the Americans or his own government, he says talking too much can get you arrested. Cuba's plight is evident at every meal. Coal, not gas, is used to cook by many, a daily indicator of how bad things have got. Petrol is so scarce it's forced many of Cuba's famous classic cars off the road. These relics of a bygone age before the revolution are now stationary reminders of today's shortages. Electric cars or rickshaws have become a more reliable form of transport. But for drivers who have no choice, getting more than their 20-litre a month ration of fuel involves cruising the city and signalling as they pass petrol stations to see if the staff will sell them some fuel on the black market. For Michael, the lack of available medicine has cost him dear. His untreated diabetes resulted in both legs being amputated 3 years ago, and since then the situation has got worse. When I ask him who he blames, he's blunt: the Cuban government, citing the expensive medicines he can't afford. Those who work in Cuba's health system, like Jose, can get their hands on medical supplies, and that's part of the problem. He sells some of it on this black market website. Cuba's famous hospital network is crumbling. Despite Donald Trump's oil blockade, some aid shipments are being allowed through. This one from Mexico has 7,000 tons of rice, milk and beans to help feed a country on the brink. The Cuban government brushes off criticism of its record, saying the current crisis is not its fault. What would you say to Cuban people that we have talked to who don't blame the American government for this situation, they blame your government?
I wouldn't have exactly any message for Cubans. I think that that question should be asked to the American government because they are the responsible actor.
New financial sanctions have forced international hotel brands to pull out. What greater tangible sign of Cuba's crumbling tourism industry than resorts being taken over by a government in crisis? The music might still be playing, But there's almost no one left to hear it. Each evening, Cuba enters its own dark age. Huge swathes of the capital are without power, despite residents' best efforts to find a remedy. The fortunate few have generators, but only as long as the fuel lasts. In a city which was renowned for its nightlife and joie de vivre, Havana has now been plunged into darkness and largely into silence. If you look at the blocks of flats around here, there are no lights on apart from the few people who've managed to charge up a battery during the day. In this city of silhouettes, most are forced to make their own entertainment. Yet in exclusive corners, there is a land of plenty for the few. The elite have the power in Cuba in every sense. Lazaro has a rap sheet for his rhymes, and he doesn't care. He wears his heart on his sleeve, his allegiance to Trump on his chest, and his contempt for the authorities on his skin. His indelible slogan, "Down with the Cuban government." And he's been imprisoned multiple times for his anti-government rapping. He says he's asking for Donald Trump to finally enter the island because we need an intervention now so the Castro Canalistas leave. He says if Trump invades, he'd be on the front lines with the Americans. His fury is fueled by what he shows me next. On the third floor of a nearby apartment block, his mother should be in hospital. But she's stuck here in acute pain with a heart condition. The drugs she needs are running out, and so is her patience. She says, "I wish I could die every time I get sick. Honestly, I ask God every day to bring me death because this isn't easy." Margot is almost as old as the revolution she feels has failed her. She's weeping for better days, and so is Cuba. Dan Rivers, ITV News, Havana.